Reporting from M&T Bank Stadium, this is Gene Frenette, sports columnist from the Florida Times-Union, along with Jaguars beat writer Vito Stellino, after what seems like a groundhog version of the NFL for the Jaguars. Another day where the opposing team passes all day on the Jaguars. In this case, the Baltimore Ravens' Joe Flacco throwing at will against the Jaguars secondary. David Garrard throwing yet another untimely interception, and just the day kind of disintegrating in the second half. It all added up to a 27-7 Ravens victory over the Jaguars in a very disappointing end to what has been a very bitterly disappointing 2008 season for the Jaguars. Now they're heading into an off season, lots of changes in store. In addition to what's already happened, Jaguars are going to have another top 10 pick in the draft, either number 7 or number 8. But certainly this finish, Vito, seemed to be a microcosm of the entire second half of the season. Jaguars fought the good fight for a little while, but in the end, they simply did not have enough.
No question. And now as they start the offseason, we have to start wondering, does the buck stop at Wayne Weaver's desk? I mean, is he hiring the right people? Was it a good idea to give Jack Del Rio a contract extension, to give David Garrard a contract extension? And at some point, you have to point out, under his tutelage, they won one playoff game since 1999. And I think he has to take, some responsibility for this. And although there's going to be change, as far as the front office, the only difference it looks like is that Shaq Harris will be gone. But Gene Smith and Jack Del Rio have been in the draft room these past 6 years when they misfired so often in the draft. So to me, there are many major questions. Can they turn this around next year, or is this the beginning of a long stretch for the Ravens?
Well, talking to the Jaguars in the post-game locker room, a lot of players expressed optimism for next year, which you expect they do. I mean, players never. They never talk about how disappointing next year is going to be or that the future looks bleak. They always talk optimistically. But the real question, if you're a Jaguars fan, is whether an off-season of change and maybe a good draft in April is going to be able to fix what's wrong with the Jaguars. Because clearly they're defending the pass. It continues to be a problem. It's been a problem for 2 or 3 years now, and it just seems to be getting worse. Still no pass rush to speak of. The running game has been diminished. Part of that, of course, can be attributed to the loss of the offensive linemen of Vincent Manawai and Maurice Williams at the start of the year. But this is not the only hole in the dike, so to speak. I mean, the Jaguars have got a lot of things to fix in this offseason, and the question is going to be whether they can fix it.
No question. We just don't know, is this the beginning of a long rebuilding stretch, or can they turn this around? Now, you notice the teams that turned things around quickly last year, like Miami and Atlanta, they brought in a new GM, a new coach, and a new quarterback. They started from scratch. The Jaguars look like they're just going to kind of add some patches. So, whether that'll work, that'll be the question that we'll be looking at in the offseason. At the very least, they need a dynamite draft. They need to draft some guys who come in and make an immediate impact, not guys like Harvey and Groves who come in and the best we can say is, well, they need more time. They need to bring in some players who make a difference on the team next year. And if they don't do that, it's hard to see how they'll be much better.
Well, the thing that's going with the off season of change that's upon them, it's hard to imagine sometimes seeing that a team can fix this that quickly. Of course, we said the same thing about the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think anybody anticipated the Falcons would turn it around the way they have, or the Miami Dolphins. So we do see that it certainly is possible. But to me, the disconcerting thing about this season for the Jaguars, particularly the second half, was after they started to get some people back, and even though they did lose some people at the end, like Fred Taylor and Rasheed Mathis, things never really got better. They only seemed to get worse. And over the last month of the season, Maurice Jones-Drew was really the only bright spot, along with safety Gerald Sensabaugh over the last half of the year. And if those are the things you're hanging your hat on going into next year, particularly with Sensabaugh likely gone to free agency, then you have to wonder if this thing is going to get fixed in time, where the Jaguars can go back to being a playoff team next year, which is Jack Del Rio's stated goal.
And you have to question Del Rio's coaching moves this year, too. You know, he made that big move with Mike Peterson, changing the lockers, taking boom boxes out of the lockers, all those kind of things. Made Peterson active against Detroit. Well, they beat Detroit, but 15 other teams did that, too, or they lost 15 other games, too. Then they probably lost 4 in a row. So that whole exercise proved to be an exercise of futility, and you just have to wonder whether Jack Del Rio can get this back together again. Will he have a tougher training camp? Does he have to get his finger on the pulse of his team better? There are just a myriad of questions to be answered in the offseason.
Well, some of the questions appear to be already answered. Guys like Khalif Barnes, Reggie Williams, Jerry Porter, people like that, they'll all be gone. But who? The question is, who are you going to replace with them? Are they going to find the left tackle in the draft that they desperately need? Are they going to be able to fix the problems in the secondary? There's a lot of fixing that needs to go on with this team. When the Jack Del Rio era started that first year, the Jaguars finished 5-11. But the difference is they won 3 of those last 5 games, and the arrow was pointing up. Now here we are in year 6. The Jaguars has finished 5-11, but the arrow is clearly not pointing up. Whether Jack Del Rio can get it back there, the offseason, the draft will tell all that. But until then, a lot of questions about these Jaguars and how this 2008 season finished and how it all unraveled for them. Reporting from MAT Bank Stadium for Jacksonville.com, this is Gene Frenette along with Vito Stellino.